I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the BAGSMART Faro 29L carry-on travel backpack set, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. The material on this bag is pretty similar to other BAGSMART bags. So this is their Oxford polyester fabric. I'm going to bring it up closer to the camera so you can get a nice and close look there. It's a 300D and it feels nice and durable. Like, I don't really have any concerns about it necessarily like tearing or anything like that. We do have reverse coil zippers all around. They're SBS zippers. They've done a pretty solid job working for me. We kind of have mixed thoughts about how they work here at the office. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. These ones work perfectly fine in my experience on this bag. We do have a little bit of thread, kind of like, you can barely even see it. And this is more of like a nitpicky thing. It's almost just like fraying underneath there. But otherwise this thing is in really great shape. Like, it hasn't, I mean, we have a loose thread here, but again, that's like a manufacturing thing more than anything. So I would say, like, in terms of actual longevity, it doesn't feel like the material or anything is going to necessarily break, but it just might not look super amazing after, you know, quite a few trips. We have carry handles as well. This one sticks out pretty far on the side here. I don't love that. I feel like it's just like a little bit imposing. And the one on the top, I care less about because I feel like that one's always facing up. But with this one on the side, like, I almost would have liked it to be a little bit more flush just from like an aesthetic standpoint, just because I think that looks a little bit goofy, honestly. We also have compression straps. These are unbranded hardware. So, I mean, they work fine. Like, you know, you can unbuckle them, you can tighten them to really like lock down the fit of this thing. It is 2 pounds when empty, so it's fairly lightweight, and it is 29 liters. But in terms of like actual size and everything, this is a really good personal item size. So this actually is technically able to fit on Ryanair. However, with the dimensions, if you were to overpack this, like with this material, because it is so flexible, it's really easy to add like a ton of gear in here. You can expand like the depth beyond what Ryanair accepts, so you do have to be careful. But you do have a few inches to spare if you were to fly somewhere with either like Frontier or Spirit. There's a few inches to spare on each side. So if you wanted a pretty roomy personal item size bag, this is going to be a pretty solid option for you. In terms of other features here, we just have paracord zipper pulls. And this is kind of like a makeshift security lock situation, so no one can just like really quickly open it. But if you wanted to open up this pocket, you just slide it through that little loop and then you are good to go. Some like zipper garages as well to help with some, you know, weatherproofing. And then along the sides as well, we have a few different like attachment points to secure gear on the outside of the bag. I didn't necessarily use these, but it's great if you like having that feature. It's not in the way. Like the rest of this bag, this harness system is super simple. So we have a mesh back padding, we have mesh on the the shoulder straps, and then we have a luggage pass-through on the back here as well with the BAGSMART logo. I do like the very minimal branding just kind of along this bag in general. I think it looks very nice because it's not like in your face. Obviously this is a loud color. They have a couple different color options. But we also have a sternum strap on a sliding rail here, which makes for really nice, simple, easy adjustments. I didn't find myself really missing a hip belt or anything like that, just because I felt like this bag never really got heavy enough that I actually really needed it. Although I did find that the sternum strap did feel pretty necessary. It's not removable, so I mean, that's nice, but, or not as nice if you don't want to use it, but I did find myself using it pretty much every time the bag was very full and I had it on for a decent amount of time, because these shoulder straps are pretty thin. So like I said, it does have mesh and it does have padding, helps a bit with like the aeration so your back doesn't get as hot, but these straps are very thin. So, and they're a little bit wide too. So I'll show you when it's on, but it kind of like cuts into my shoulders, like on either side a little bit. And that's just how my frame is. But with this, like when it did get heavy, I did start to feel that weight after a while, and there's no load lifters or anything to help pull that weight off. So I wouldn't say that this is like the most comfortable bag that I've carried by any means. It did its job though for how much gear I had in here. I would just say if you're gonna be walking long distances, this might start to get a little bit uncomfortable. So when the bag is actually on my body, it feels pretty comfortable. Like I mentioned, it doesn't feel like it's going down too far. Like it's not hitting my lower back in a way that's like uncomfortable. But what I was talking about with the straps is you can see like where they come. This is basically the very edge of my shoulder, and then in here, it's pretty much right up against my neck. So when I move my arms, you know, if I have them like more sitting forward, then it does start to get a little bit uncomfortable. Or I guess I just like feel it more than other bags that I've tested if they were like a little bit thinner. If you do have broader shoulders, that's probably not going to be as much of an issue for you. But it does kind of curve a little bit to my back. I have a laptop in here, but you can see that it sort of like bends to me a little bit. And I personally like that. I don't like when a back panel is too stiff, but if you do prefer that structure, this is not a bag that has that. So keep that in mind. If you find this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. With the bottle pocket on the side here, this is designed to fit up to a 40-ounce water bottle. This is a 20-ounce in here. It's a pretty like sizable water bottle, and you can see that there is still room to spare. So this is definitely a very, very stretchy bottle pocket. It does start to cut into the space in the main compartment a little bit. Like the bigger the bottle gets, you know, the more space you'll kind of have to account on all ends for it. But it stretches super, super well. So I really did like that. And it bounced back pretty okay too, but it did always have a slightly kind of similar to the carry handle on this side. It just always like stuck out a little bit. I didn't mind a ton. Honestly, I think I dislike the handle more than I like the bottle pocket. But something to keep in mind. I do like how deep it is though, because like that basically swallowed the entire bottle. So taller bottles are going to fit very nicely in here. In terms of other pockets, we have a laptop compartment. So this has dual zippers on this side. I do wish it had a security, kind of like makeshift security feature similar to the front here, just because this is like where your device is. But really, I guess this is like facing out more often. So it's not really that big of a deal. This can fit up to a 15.6-inch device. This is a 16-inch MacBook Pro, and you can see it fits in there with a little bit of room to spare. So that's pretty nice. If you don't use this pocket, it sits pretty flush, like against the bag, you know, it doesn't really feel like wasted space. But if you don't have your device in there, you know, the back panel is a little bit more flexible, which on the flip side, if you do have your device in there, your device kind of acts as a structured back panel, which some people don't love just because it puts a lot of pressure on your device. But in general, comfort-wise, it's fine. It's just whether or not you're comfortable with your device kind of playing that role. And then there also is no false bottom here. So didn't love that. If you set down the backpack hard enough, you know, it could like hit the ground or whatever. So kind of up to you if that's a deal breaker, but a little bit of like lifting I think would have been nice to see for some device protection. We also have a hidden zipper on the side here. This is right under that carry handle. And this is a good size for like they say like a passport or a phone. This is a Pro Max size phone. It's just a 3D printed version. And that fits in there with some room to spare. So and I put that phone and a passport in here, and it was perfectly fine. So I do think that they did a good job hiding this pocket. Like it really isn't that obvious. The zipper pull is like metal, but it doesn't have an extra paracord. Sometimes they have extra paracord that like pokes out, and this one doesn't have that. So I'm not like worried about it like becoming obvious that there's a pocket there or anything like that. So it does pretty good like from a security standpoint. And then on the front here, we have two quick grab pockets. This top one here is pretty roomy actually. So it has 3 pen slots. I honestly don't ever need pen slots, but they're there if you do. I have my phone in there, and because that's largely where I put my phone. I also have a pair of gloves. I have my keys. There was no key leash in here. I didn't really miss it, but you know, kind of up to you if that's a deal breaker. In these pockets too, we just have slip pockets, and I just put like my tiny accessories in there, like my wallet, headphones, chapstick. Nothing ever fell out like from these pockets into this main compartment area, but I did have a hard time like finding a ton of things to store in here. So really, if you have a ton of small items, you can honestly put even like an extra pouch in here or something if you want. And then we also have this bottom pocket, which is where I stored this like extra pouch that they brought, which I'll talk about when we look at the main compartment, how this storage can kind of play in there. But that was a decent spot to, oh, here's the key leash, that's why. The key leash is in this bottom pocket, I missed that. So that actually goes down here, and then you can have that extra space or like keep your keys down there, and then fit, you know, whatever other stuff that you want in this bottom like pocket. It does have a little bit of independent space as well, and it packs out, but as you pack the main compartment, you can kind of run out of space in there, so you have to pack a little bit smart. All right, now going into the main compartment. So this bag actually opens up in a full, not necessarily, I guess, clamshell design, but like from the bottom. And you have a decent amount of space in here. So these two mesh buckets, I forgot to zip this one back up. I use these for like undergarments or extra accessories. So I would put like hats in here. I would put either like hats and socks in here or something like that. And then honestly, once I like had used socks and things like that, I would like stick them over in this compartment. So I kind of used it that way. You can really use them for whatever you want. They don't have a ton of independent space though. So it's kind of fighting for space. Like this pocket's fighting for space a little bit with this pocket in the front here. So if you overpack one, you can kind of cut into the other. It wasn't a huge deal breaker for me, honestly. Like for the most part, I didn't really use these pockets much unless I had things that I needed to put in there. But they are there if you want to use them. This one's just like, this one on the left here is a little bit skinnier, but just as deep. So I stuck like smaller items in there. As for the actual main compartment bucket space, it's very, very simple. So this is a like a tie-down strap that's very easy to secure. And then when you aren't using it, obviously it just kind of floats over like that. In here, I have a tech pouch, a toiletry kit, and then two packing cubes. I was able to get a long weekend of gear inside of here, and I could probably fit another day or two if I packed a little bit more minimally than I did. So I would say, like, if you're smart, you can get probably up to like 5 days in here. So it really just depends on how well you pack and if you utilize like a capsule wardrobe and things like that. It also depends on whether or not you use this shoe pouch. So quick look at the inside here. No additional pockets or any extra like storage on the inside there. So I definitely would utilize like packing cubes. With the shoe pouch here, this is actually accessible from the outside of the bag. So I like that it has drainage holes. So if you do have shoes in here that are like a little bit wet or muddy or something, like it gives somewhere for that to go. But on the inside, you can see like how much extra space is here. This is basically how far this could theoretically go up, which is literally the entire size of this backpack. So like if you wanted to put a pair of shoes in here, I guess you could, if this is a pair of sandals, you could like really flatten it down and then pack on top of it. I found it pretty easy to just put the sandals like I put them in how I wanted to, and then I like manipulated the rest of this material to just kind of like squish down back to the bottom. And then it was just kind of laying like that. Because also if you lay it flat, then it lays on top of this tie down strap. So it was a little bit clunky to use that. To be quite honest, I probably wouldn't use this at all depending on the time of year. So with that pocket, like it was good for an extra pair of sandals, like if you're not traveling with sandals like through the airport. But in my case, you know, if I'm traveling in the wintertime, I'm not putting an extra pair of shoes in here because 1, I don't need it. 2, whatever I need for winter travel shoes is going to like take up basically this entire compartment. So I wouldn't necessarily personally use this shoe compartment as like a major selling point of the bag, just because it's not super like functional in my opinion. That said, a lot of shoe compartments aren't because they do cut into space. So it's kind of up to you if you think that that's worth it. Just keep in mind kind of the storage implications, I guess. What we do have in terms of extra organization is this pouch. So I have this packed up with gear. I'll show you what it looks like on, if I just step back here, hope I knocked off the mic. It just kind of hangs out like just kind of like a pouch. It's like a pouch that you can attach straps to. It's not very like, I don't know, it doesn't look bad. I would say that if you don't like the color of the bag, it comes with the same color of the bag, so like make sure you like both of them. It's just like a little bit louder than I would use. I would rather just bring my own sling, but you can remove this strap entirely, and then it just functions as a pouch that you can use for organization anywhere in the bag. So you don't have to use it as a sling, and for that reason I think it's nice because like it works great as extra organization. The sling strap is just kind of like a cord that has a little bit of like give to it. So it's not like it's adding a ton of extra comfort, like carry comfort or anything like that. It was fine with the amount of stuff you can actually fit in this thing. And then when you want to adjust, you know, the length of it, you just sort of like slide this knot along it. So like it was fine. But in terms of organization, you've got some like points along here to attach gear, and then we have mesh on the front, which is actually the same mesh as this water bottle pocket. I didn't use these when I was using it in like sling mode because I felt like my gear was really like too accessible. Like I didn't want a phone didn't fit out here. I didn't want to put a wallet out here because that was like too exposed. Headphones I didn't want to put out here, like earbuds, because that was too exposed. So I basically just used the like center pocket as just like a complete dump pocket. Like so in here I have passport size notebook. So like that would be like a passport, my wallet, my keys, my AirPods, and my phone, and like that's the stuff that I use pretty much every day. So it does fit those items, but like I said, I would mostly use this as a pouch for organization within the bag versus using this as like a standalone carry bag, just because I would rather bring my own. So there you have it, the BAGSMART Faro 29-liter carry-on travel backpack set. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.